Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Ducks Gaming and a new video on the channel. Looking at solving a few gearing problems I've come across on Lightning Strike Raider. So as suggested in my last video, I've migrated my character to trade just to identify how to fix these issues to help people out if they're having the same problem. There's three things that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about stuns, we're going to talk about Pierce and the crazy price of the Enchanted Helmets on a decent base, and we're going to talk about lethal pride jewels because I know that's a very confusing aspect at the moment. So if we look at stun first off, there's two ways you can look to deal with stun. The reason I'm noticing stun a lot more this league is because last league I ran Grace and then loads of Fizz taken as elemental. Didn't have any armor anywhere really, just had loads and loads of evasion and then Fizz taken as Ellie, so I didn't notice stuns because I hardly ever got hit. Now I'm going a hybrid of armor and evasion. When I do get hit, I'm often getting stunned, even though it doesn't look like I'm losing any life, but because you leech so quickly, it can be a bit deceiving. And also, we don't have as much evasion. I've maybe got 50% chance to evade instead of like 85%. So I'm noticing stuns a lot more, and it's something I wanted to address. You've got two main ways to deal with this. The first is to actually drop determination, and you're going to take Grace and the Reservation Mastery. That should allow you to fit in Defiance banner. You're basically going to stack as much evasion as you can, and then you're going to craft Fizz taken as elemental on as many gear pieces as you can. So on a chest, if you've unlocked the Gravicious craft, you can do 6% as fire, 6% as lightning. If you have a helmet that you can craft on, there is a prefix of 8% Fizz taken as fire. That's unlocked by getting an item from Corel in Syndicate. Most people should have it by now. You can also put an Eldritch implicit on the helmet if you're not running a Blizzard Crown, which is 6% taken as any variation of elemental damage. And then finally, lethal prides have 5% physical taken as fire. Now, most of these are from hits, so they're not going to stop you for things that aren't hits, but most of the things that are going to kill you in maps are going to be big physical hits. And then along with this, you can also get endurance charges into the build, either with a small armor cluster jewel with enduring composure on it, or the warlord body armor that gives you endurance charges when you hit also. This gives you a lot of defenses because it's percentage physical damage reduction, which is huge. When you then add that onto the fact that we're converting a lot of it over to elemental damage, it does two things. One, we can take a bigger physical hit. Two, we take less damage on a hit, so we shouldn't get stunned as often. And because we're running Grace, we get hit less, so again, we're going to get stunned less. And then at this point, you'd obviously drop Molten Shell because it's not going to serve a purpose. With your endurance charges, you can then run Immortal Call, and it will make you feel very, very tanky, even though you might run around with 1 to 2k armor. Okay. So let's look at the other option, which is the one I went for because I've got all armor and evasion gear, so it doesn't really suit going Grace and trying to stack up evasion because I'll have to redo all my pieces. But because I'm not, at the point of min-maxing my build, I just want to try and get Uber Elder and Maven done. There's fairly easy ways to solve stuns. So the first thing you have is 3 nodes here. Always take these. So you got 8%, 20%, and 8%. So that's 36% chance to avoid stuns already. There is an option. If you don't want to go too much on gear, you can anoint tolerance, which gives you 30%, but you're obviously going to be giving up a damage anoint. So what I've done is if we go over to essences, and it's these essences here. Now these are 1 chaos each at the moment for a deafening essence of scorn. And you can see on armor that isn't body armor, so helmets, boots, and gloves, you can get 31 to 44% chance to avoid being stunned. So basically you need 2 of these and you're not going to get stunned with the points on the tree. So what I did was I went onto trade and I looked for a fairly high base type. So Valkyries are really high for armor with 30% increased movement speed fractured on it. These were 19 chaos. I bought the boots and I bought about 20 deafening essences. So for a total of 39 chaos investment. And then I rolled them until I hit something that would work. Now these are not perfect by any means. Like I rolled sort of mid-tier on a chance to be stunned, but I've got chaos resistance, which is the only resistance I really needed on the boots. So I'm capped on all my others. And then I just crafted life on the bench. So these boots now, along with my 36%, that's 72% chance to avoid being stunned. With my helmet, I was running a mana reservation helmet, but now I'm a bit higher level. I think I'm 94. I can run precision, determination, and anger without having to have mana reservation on my helmet. I'm just forgetting about Defiance banner for now. So I could recraft this helmet. Now, one implicit I'd recommend if you're not using a Blizzard Crown, which is really helpful, is reduced mana cost of attacks. This is going to help me massively because I don't have the minus mana cost on any of my jewelry. It just means now that I'm only on 100 mana, it's not too much of an issue. Like I can get quite a few hits off before I need to start worrying about mana. We've got, you know, plenty of elite, so you're never going to run into mana issues. So all I did again was just roll these essences on the helmet until I got some life or something decent. The issue I have is that I had to have an open prefix and life. That's why the rest of the stats are junk. Don't need the resistances. I've got them stacked elsewhere, but I needed pierce because I haven't got an enchanted helmet. So I have the implicit on my gloves, and then I had to craft this as a prefix on my helmet. And again, this is a syndicate unlock. So if we now go to my stun, I'm 113% stun avoidance, so that's absolutely fine. And I rolled quite high on this essence at 41%. But you essentially need to roll mid-roll, like 37%, I think it is, on average, and you're going to be 100% capped. That's what I've done, and it's helped massively in mapping. It was actually getting quite frustrating getting stunned all the time. This has helped loads. This might not be a viable option for some people. They might have special boots that they can't get rid of. But remember, you can do it on boots, gloves, and helmet, and you only need 2 crafts, and you're going to be capped as long as you take the nodes on the tree. Okay, next thing to talk about is pierce. Last league, you could pick up a +2 lightning strike enchant for about 20 to 25 chaos, even cheaper, like 5 to 10 chaos if you didn't care about the base. This league, they're insanely expensive. A decent base is well over a divine. Blizzard Crown is like, you know, in the realms of unaffordable. So it's not really something that I would recommend. Now, it's something I said to aim for at end game. And if you want to min max, you're probably still going to aim for it. But it's a huge chunk of investment. And just with that investment of the helmet alone, you could get your whole character doing, you know, Maven, Ubroder and stuff like that. So I wanted to go over the different forms of pierce that you can get and the different ways that you can get it. Obviously, first and most simple one is the tree. And they're actually decent nodes. It's 3 points, so you're going to be giving up life or damage somewhere, but you get 3 pierce. If you've also got it in your gloves, that's 4 pierce. That feels absolutely amazing when you're mapping. In terms of gear, the first thing, and I'd always recommend you go for this because it's what you want at end game, is you definitely want pierce on your gloves and you want strike 1 additional target. Pierce is rolled with the Eldritch Eye Cores. This is the first form of pierce you should be looking for. Even if you've got an enchanted helmet with +2 or +3, this still gives you good clear. So if you've got that, then that already gives you 1 pierce. And honestly, unless you're really super juicing, 2 pierce is going to feel absolutely fine. So then you have the unlock in Syndicate, which is a prefix. It's not dropped by any particular person. It's not a special unveil. It will drop from any mob. So everyone's probably got this craft by now. So if we go to the bench and we just go pierce, you can see you can craft it on helmet and gloves. So you just need an open prefix on your helmet or your gloves to craft this, and you've got your +2 pierce. The other option we've already gone through is you could obviously get an enchanted helmet, but even for like 80 to 100 chaos, you're getting a really trash base that's not really going to give you much else. The other thing I've seen people use, which I would never do, is a Poacher's Aim Jewel. Basically just gives you 1 pierce, but you've got to give up a jewel socket for it. And they're quite a premium on this build because you can really stack some juicy stuff into them. And then the last thing to look at, which I'll switch into POV for. Now this is expensive, but probably no more expensive than getting an enchanted helmet. And it actually frees up your options a little bit with gearing. And that is getting a large Thread of Hope. Now these are about 1.5x. Obviously, you've also got the problem that they lower your elemental resistance. But what you can do if you take this is you can pick up the +2 pierce. You can also just take Forces of Nature, so you can drop these travel nodes here. You could then respec your evasion that way and drop this. So that frees up a ton of points. So let's do that now, actually. Just so I can give you an idea of the points you can free up. You can then drop this travel node here if you're taking one with nature. You can just take this notable, Primeval Force, which is really good. So normally you would take these 3 travel nodes here. You'd have a travel node here somewhere. And then you would have travel nodes here. So you're basically freeing up about 8. Well, let's count how many points freeing up. We are freeing up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're giving up that. So essentially you're taking pierce and you're getting an extra 6 points. Obviously, you're giving up your jewel socket. If this is where your lethal pride sits and it's a good lethal pride, this isn't an option. Just wanted to give people different options. So then what that's allowed me to do, because the only thing I don't like about this is you lose the increased effect of elemental ailments, but you can get it down here, and it also falls into your lethal pride if you've got it up here. So you get LE damage, and then here you get 20% increased effect of non-damaging ailments. Depending whereabouts you are with damage, you can always go this way and then get more damage, more intelligence if you need it, and again falls into your lethal pride if it's up here. There's loads of options. You could even go up here and take some life. There's lots of different options you can do with the points that you're freeing up. So if you want it to be more tanky, you can say, I'm not bothered about that. So what am I? I'm at level 94. So this is 93. So I could go up there and get these life nodes here. And then that puts me at like 5.3k life, which is very, very good for a raider. That's an option. I'm not saying necessarily go for it. Keep an eye on prices. But if Enchanted Helmets stay the price that they are, these things are only going to come down and down as more people kill Cirrus. So if they get into the range where it's like, 60 to 100C for one of these, this is a really good option for getting Pierce into the build and then just forgetting about it. It'll also then free up your prefix or suffix on your gloves, which you can get really good damage crafts on. Same with helmet, it could free up your helmet if you wanted to craft like Fizz taking us fire or something like that, or extra chaos resistance. It just gives you a ton of options. Apologies, I noticed my camera's blocking off the bottom of the tree, but nothing down there changes. Next thing to look at is lethal pride jewels. There's a few different ways to search these. They're all a pain in the ass, and there isn't necessarily an easy way to do it. I'm not going to go through all the sources because I haven't tested them, so I don't know about like viruses and all that crap. But there's a tool that someone's made that's available in GitHub. If you Google it, it's going to be the first thing that comes up if you just search Lethal Pride Jewel Finder or Legion Jewel Finder. And it's essentially a tool that you put in where your jewel is, what stats you want, and what stats you have allocated, and it gives you all the different options in terms of the numbers. You can then punch that number into trade and see if the jewel is available. I think there's a way to get it to search all of them for you on trade, but I found it a bit glitchy in that I knew for sure that there was a jewel available, and then when I put the number in, it said it wasn't available on trade, so I didn't use it, but it is an option. You can also go in here into POB. So at the bottom, there is this Find Timeless Jewels. We want a Lethal Pride. You choose, these don't matter. So you choose where you want to slot the jewel. So mine is in Ghost Dance, so let's keep it there. And then you tick this filter nodes, and that means that it's only going to show you when you can actually get the most or actually benefit from this stat, because it's going to be on one of your passives. And then you just search for the nodes you want. So let's say we wanted double damage, and we wanted something like, Fizz's Fire, because we've been talking about that, for example. We add those, and then we do search. And it's going to give you a long list of these numbers, but you would have to then go and punch each of these numbers individually into trade. And there is a huge amount of Lethal Pride jewels. So that particular one being available is quite unlikely. So you might spend 30 minutes going through all of these, and they're just no good. Because either no one's got one, or you finally find someone who's got one and they don't respond. The way I did it, which I wouldn't say is optimal, but I did it because I wasn't looking for like a mega jewel. I didn't have a Lethal Pride. I just wanted one that basically had double damage and anything else. So all I did was literally went on the trade site. So if we go here, I just went on the trade site. I searched for Lethal Pride. I had a look at what the prices were, because I want to filter out the bottom prices because it's likely that they are possibly really bad ones. So they were up for 19. I don't know if that's price for thing that seems cheap. So all I went down here was said, no, actually, I'm happy to pay 30 chaos or more for a Lethal Pride jewel. And then you can literally just go down, copy the jewel. It's a pain. Go into POB, items, add it to the build. And then you just here where I've got the jewel socket you want, and you just select that Lethal Pride. And then you can just go and look at the stats. So this one will give me strength, crit multi, fortification, Fizz taking us fire, physical damage, and reduced damage. You can do it that way, and then at least when you buy a jewel, you know it's got something, because I've seen people buying jewels and they're like, oh, it's not got anything good for my build. It's got like +1 fortification, totem placement speed, extra fire damage. This is what I did. It took me about 15 minutes, and I found one with 1 double damage, some life, and some Fizz taking us fire, and that was fine. I'd say there is easier ways to do it. I just found it a pain in the ass. So this is where I decided to do it, sort of old school. Plug each one into POB. I find one I want. I whisper the person that I buy it. Job done. I don't need to bother about Lethal Pride jewels again. If you want to know how they work, I would either look up the POE wiki to see exactly how Lethal Pride jewels work. There is a video on my channel that I did a while ago which will still be relevant in terms of what the jewel does. It's just the stuff around, you know, divining it and stuff, don't pay any attention to, because obviously that's going to cost you an absolute fortune. But that kind of covers off the 3 things I wanted to go through on the video. There's going to be more videos coming out. I'm going to try and get a bit better geared because I'm sitting on 7 divines, a little bit of chaos. I've got a few bits and bobs I could sell. I'm just not sure what I want to upgrade yet in terms of getting my money's worth. So that's it for this video. Hope you're enjoying the build and I hope you're managing to find something to keep you entertained. In this league, I'm honestly having a blast playing the league. Yes, there are quite a few issues, but it hasn't detracted me from having fun. But I'm not a super juicer anyway. I'm more of an Alk and Go mapper. I like to map quickly. I like to do league mechanics and stuff, and all the league mechanics I like have not really been affected by the changes. I think the Arch Nemesis changes they're looking to bring on board look pretty decent. So yeah, I'm going to continue playing the game. I'm quite happy. So yes, the market is more expensive because of these knock-on effects, but I think it forces players to learn, you know, how to craft at least basic stuff, because some of the stuff on trade is insanely expensive. But I'm not going to go on waffling. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.